Hello everyone and welcome back to some more internet spaceships. My name's Bob Mitch. Today is going to be a bit more of a talky one again, and I'm going to try and do this with some footage in the background of me doing some space trucking among other things, because I've been trying to get back into my whole sea trading again. I've a fair few things to cover in this video, so it's kind of hard to know where to begin, and I suppose the best thing to do is go straight from the title of the video. So when everyone is playing Star Citizen, I would argue that they have their own criteria for how they're going to finish the game, air quotes. And because Star Citizen is a sandbox, everyone has their own version of what they want to do and how they want to go about it. For some people, especially in these big organisations, they might try to do things like complete the Wicklow Polaris. I know we have like 6 of them in game now. Or maybe complete the other Wicklow ships in total, because there's a lot of them. For me, personally, it's been a bit of a different road, and last night, as of me recording this, I managed to complete 4.0 in my own eyes, for me, and as well get to the point where I'm very, very close to completing 4.1 in my own eyes again. So what does this mean? When 4.0 came out, the main goal was that everyone was trying to accomplish and complete all of the contested zones and do the executive hangar content. So that would mean getting the cards over and over again from the contested zones to go to the executive hangars and get the pyro-amalgamated executive hangar ships. And last night, with the help of the Quantum Dispatch Discord guys, so these guys are legends, as much as my people from Synchronous are as well, because they've helped me in the past, I finally managed to get the F8, so the pyro-amalgamated F8, and complete the whole set of executive hangar ships. So I started with the Sulan, and then I moved on to the Cutlass Black. After I got the Cutlass Black, I managed to get the F7A Hornet. After the Hornet, I got the Corsair, and then last night I finally managed to culminate it and get the F8. So I now have one of every executive hangar ship, and I can draw a line under 4.0 and say I have finished that content. I have all the executive hangar ships. I have all of the scorched armor pieces that you can find, so I have all the really cool scorched armor that's in 4.0 as well. I have many of the scorched weapons, so the scorched weaponry. And even with all the bugs and wipes that we've had, and I've lost some ships, I've lost some armour, I've managed to get some of them back, I've had a really, really fun time doing it. That isn't to say, of course, that it hasn't been without some of those catastrophic bugs. 3 times I've been to put a series of the key cards into the executive hangar, only for the terminals to swallow the number 7 card, or break it, and then we have to go and get someone else to go and get a spare number 7 card from somebody who has them. So it's been a bit of a pain, and there are a lot of things going wrong, but we got there in the end. As for 4.1, I have 2 things left to do in my eyes that means I've finished the content of 4.1. For me, I'm not running around for countless hours to try and farm a Polaris, or even try to farm the Wicklow ships, although I know I probably could if I wanted to. Many of them are just skins, although I think some of them, as far as we know, have got different components. I was more interested in getting the armour. As you've already known, you've been watching my videos, and you already know that I'm not happy with how CIG have made this event, where all of the items are locked behind this specific bottlenecked area that you need a colossal amount of people to come and help you farm. And hopefully I should be running this new outro video as just over this that I recorded late last night of the OLP over Aberdeen firing. I think it was Ruptura, and this was done on a holy grail of a server, something that I've only experienced twice in all the hours I've put into this so far. And this was a quiet shard of, I want to say, about 70 people. So there was only 70 people entirely on this shard, and around Hurston and Aberdeen at this time there was only 4 people. And 2 guys had aligned all of these lasers up, so they had aligned all the satellites, and they not only aligned it, they were broadcasting in chat to say, if anybody wants to come and watch this thing fire, then come to Aberdeen, because we'll wait for people if they want to come and watch it. I thought I was going to miss it because I was around Seraphim at the time, and I went there with the idea of trying to catch this cool video, which, as you now saw, I managed to do and get a good angle on it. And then after it fired, I went down to the hole fully expecting to, you know, if you're going down there to try and chance some ores, but fully expecting to get shot in the back, as that's normally the case at one of these if you try and sneak in. However, the two guys that were there were completely chill in their Pembroke suits. They let me mine the Sardinium. The VoIP was working, so there was a few enough people on the server that we could just have a nice chat in VoIP. And I've said to them, I'm not fussed about the Caronite, I only want the Sardinium. Can we just do our separate thing? I'll mine what I need to do one turn in for the thing, and then I'll leave you to it. And they were like, okay, that's cool. A third person of theirs turned up, a friend, and he had brought a multi-tool, which was one of the subscriber ones. I think it was the gold shiny one that I can't remember the name of now. But there's a bug currently in game where if you use one of those subflare ones, they don't work because they don't show the mining UI on the back, so you can't use them. I farmed the Sardinium that I needed, and he said to me, do you know why my mining UI isn't working? And I said, yes. I explained to him what the bug was. I said, hold on a second, let me just check, because I want to see if I've missed any of the Sardinium I need. I said, no, all the bits down here are gone. You can have my multi-tool because you've been nice and you guys haven't just shot me in the back. It was the single nicest experience I've had in one of these boreholes so far in game. Just 4 people chilling out, mining it peacefully without utter anarchy going on, because earlier on in the evening, after I had got my F8, I went to one on a US server and it was utter chaos. So my Sabre Raven is completely stealthed out, so it uses stealth A components across the board. So when I turn most things off, I can sneak up to pretty much anything and I'm essentially invisible, unless you're looking for an engine trail or something like that. You can normally only see me within like 2 kilometers. It's ridiculous. I went to this borehole on the US server. I think it was the southern pole one on Daymar, so Lamina, I think. And they had 2 Polarises next to it. God knows how many other ships in total around it. They had 2 Guardians in the air. One of them was a Guardian Qui with its interdictor running, 3 Hornets, somebody in a Zeus, somebody in a Golem, and a whole host of people running around on foot watching people sneaking up to the hole. I still managed to sneak up close, see all of this, realise that I was not going to get anywhere near this hole, and I just went and spent, I want to say, the better part of an hour and a half just screwing with them. So my default loadout when I do these things now, if I'm going down to the borehole, is normally a P6 with a 16x scope on it, because it's ridiculous getting those long range kills, a railgun, and a Coda pistol, because the Coda just slaps in close range combat when you're accurate with it. And yeah, I just spent over an hour messing with these guys. I think I killed 5 of them on foot. I blew up 1 Hornet with the railgun. I blew up the Golem with the railgun. I shot the wing off another Hornet with the railgun. And after I finally pinned the Guardian down with the railgun, they sent the people out on foot in my general direction, and they finally managed to spot me. And it still took 3 of them, after I killed 2 of them, and 2 Hornets lighting me up on the spot to find out where I was. It was fantastic. I wish I was recording, but I wasn't because I was so hyper-focused, but it's genuinely some of the most fun I've had in the game since this patch launched. And it was a fantastic, just utter hour and a half, 2 hours of chaos after getting the F8. It was adrenaline pumping, it was really fun. So yes, that, compared to the other hour also later on going into this completely chill hole with 4 guys and all of us sharing all of the ore that we wanted until we got what we needed and then parting ways peacefully, just shows the 2 coins of cooperation and all-out war that this resource that's been bottlenecked into this little space has. And with the game being the way it's currently built, and its chat functions and its party functions really isn't made for this level of content, where if you want to do something like that, unless you're on one of these Holy Grail servers, you need to essentially lock down an area with a giant group for the most part, especially if you're on a full server. So yeah, that was a bit of a tangent left to go on the boreholes. So 2 things left to do in 4.1, and that is to complete 2 sets of armour. One of them is the Jet Black Antium set. So the black set I still need the helmet for. I haven't found it. I've been farming for it like crazy and it's driving me up the wall because it will not spawn in any of these loot boxes that I've been running to around these OLPs over and over and over again. I'm going to get it eventually. The last one that's been making me go stir crazy because of all this borehole drama is Wickelow's armour, so the Banu Endro armour set, of which I only need the chest piece, and it's driving me insane. So anyone watching this, if you have a spare chest piece to trade so that I don't have to keep going and doing all of this farming the resources in the hole that's driving me up the wall by sneaking in and getting them, I have spare arms, legs and helms to trade if you need them. So if you have a spare chest, get in touch. Once I get those, that will essentially write off 4.1 for me. As I said, I'm not interested in farming ships. I may farm to the point where I can get a couple of the cool guns with their skins, like the Copian skin gun, but I'm not interested in farming these ships. I'll have written off 4.1 and I can call it in my eyes done. Does it mean I'm going to stop playing? Absolutely not. I love playing the game and I love getting people get their armour, and I'm going to help them get their ships. I'm indebted to help people get their ships with the contested zones and their executive hangar ships, so I'm not going to stop playing because I'm having lots of fun. That is to say, there isn't still an infuriating amount of bugs and problems. Given that I've drawn a line on what I want to do for the most part, and due to the sheer amount of time I've put into this, especially whilst I've been off recovering from surgery, of which I still am. In fact, you can probably hear I sound ropey as hell right now recording this, because I think I have the beginning of a chest infection from my chest healing, or just some lovely lurg that's been going around. It's hard to tell at this point. I think it's valid that, as well as what I've mentioned about the Wickelow borehole, I try and give not a review, because that would be silly. There's no point trying to review Star Citizen, but trying to give a bit of feedback for the two major patches that we've had this year. So with that in mind, and with everything mentioned about Wickelow already, where do we begin? They've both been incredibly fun, and they both had fantastic ideas, the execution of which could have been a lot better, boiling it down. I've covered this in my other videos. I think a main problem of both, not so much 4.0 and the contested zone content, because now we have the contested zone content spread out over two systems. There's a diverse environment of things because it's located both in Pyro and in Stanton now. Both of them are heavily group focused content. Now it would appear with 4.1.1 around the corner and everything that's been data mined, I'm not going to go too into it so it's not spoilery, we have these scripts that you're going to be able to turn in, so this could be changing to make it a bit more of an easier route for solo players. Not a complete piss take so that you know that they're going to get it done in a day, but more of an easier route for those that may not enjoy playing in a group so much, or maybe have difficulty finding a group to play this. So it's good. The contested zone stuff is great fun, obviously, but it's still a little bit easier now to do it splitting the groups, especially with 4.1 coming out, splitting it across the systems. In fact, I've even done it on my own, some of the contested zones, because the server content, or sorry, the server population has been so low and quiet that I could just run in and solo the content, mainly during the working week whilst I've been on recovering from the surgery. 4.0 had its fair share of bugs as well. Unfortunately, quite a lot of which have carried over into 4.1 because they weren't addressed at all, or they were potential fixes that haven't worked. And there's so many reasons why they weren't working, but they're in 4.1. I think I've mentioned it before. The 4.1 was rushed out of the gate, so there was a lot of things that weren't addressed. They weren't what CIG would have called blockers, because they pushed the content anyway. But there's still glaring issues, many of which have reared their head more recently whilst play's been going on. Big ones such as minables. So if you're trying to mine on the surface of planets or moons on Stanton, it just hasn't worked. You have to go to Pyro to do it, or you have to go into the asteroid belts, which renders the Atlas Geo completely useless on planetary services in Stanton, unless you're one of the lucky group people who managed to get it into the new Hathor boreholes and use it for a little while before it either got shot to pieces by somebody coming in and trying to steal the hole, or you got bombed because a friendly A2 came down to ruin your fun. Another glaring one currently is dying. So it doesn't matter where you set your respawn point or which clinic you use. Normally now when you die, there's some kind of trigger that happens to your character. I think it's something about dying in an armistice zone. I could be wrong, but instead of getting incapacitated and lying on the floor, as soon as you get incapacitated, you respawn instantly and your body vanishes for whoever was trying to kill you. You wake up very quickly in a local clinic. If you've ever seen it happen to somebody in your party, watch their party marker because it's hilarious. You'll see it flying across the system like they've got a quantum drive on speed. It's hilarious to watch. But for instance, if you die on Daymar, regardless of where you set your clinic, you normally end up waking up at Seraphim or Orison. If you're dying in the contested zones, you'll normally snap back to the clinic of the contested zone that you're nearest to. Doesn't matter if you're trying to do Ruin and your thing is set in Obituary, you'll just wake up in the Ruin clinic. So it's a bit of a mess. And it's irritating for people who are trying to get the loot off of bodies. I think the biggest example was watching Burks yesterday. And he was doing a marathon run where they killed somebody else in the Obituary contested zone after they just looted key 4. So this person had looted key 4. Burks killed them and the body vanished instantly instead of leaving their body behind for them to loot the key. So yeah, it was supposed to be their key and the person woke up instantly in the clinic with their keys in the backpack. So Burks did them a favour by killing them because then they didn't have to go into the elevator. So yes, it's maddeningly frustrating and there's still a lot of glaring issues, lots of quality control issues. And it leads into my next point of a discussion that's currently going on. I know Salty Mike touched on it in their podcast and was talking about it the other day. And it's along the lines of people aren't feeling that CIG has done enough when it comes to bug fixes because they're determined to push out content, and you can't deny they've been doing it because the content has been fantastic. But it still seems like it's getting rushed out of the gate, which means lots of bugs and problems are still bleeding through. Be this the death thing that's come up, or minables that have been a problem since forever, or the elevators not working, be that transit elevators or freight elevators. Freight elevators still don't work for the most part in my eyes. They certainly don't work for me. I've seen them work for people in my group doing the contested zones when we're looting all of the components and in the hangars and things. I try and use them and they're completely broken. So there's lots of things that are still left untouched or, halfway finished. And it's not only showing us a problem because these things are still glaring. Now they've put on the podcast, is it withering down to the point where the patience again is running thin? Even though CIG have said that this is going to be the time for bug fixes. So yeah. I think a great example of this that they touched on in the podcast that I can relate to, and I've witnessed myself because I'm friends with him, is Ollie. So Ollie43 has said that he doesn't want to continue streaming Star Citizen so much because he doesn't want to put across the impression that he's having fun when he really isn't. And that might sound a bit confusing, but I completely understand where he's coming from, and it's the main reason why I don't stream Star Citizen at all. I did when I first started doing this for some time, but I don't like streaming it because 90% of the stuff that you stream from Star Citizen is boring as hell. It's loading screens, or you're trying to stream a broken experience whilst you're trying to navigate everything that's broken about it. Be that through game restarts, or trying to mitigate bugs, or implement workaround that for bugs. It's infuriating, and I know that I wouldn't have a fun time trying to stream it, which is why I don't. I much prefer to just have a record button on my stream deck in front of me, and when I know content is coming up, I can just hit record on the stream deck, and then I can go back and edit that fun moments or funny moments or good content back into videos for you guys. So people aren't losing faith, but like I said, I think the patience is starting to wear thin on the ground where all of these bugs are concerned. This isn't to say that I'm down or depressed about the game. It's not going to stop me playing because of the broken things. When you play this game, full on enough trying to mitigate things, you know that part and parcel is still trying to do it at the moment and get involved so that you navigate what's wrong and you just crack on with it. You have to be patient to play this game. And I know that when I'm at least playing this game and everything works, there is nothing else like it at all. Every moment can be awe-inspiring and gorgeous and fun to be involved with in a completely different and unique game engine. But then on the flip side, all of that can go to hell in a few minutes if you're just trying to do something with the content that's been implemented and it just doesn't work outright, or something breaks, or you're trying to do it and the server crashes just as you're about to do something and you lose hours of progress, or you lose millions of credits worth of cargo, or whatever. Something as simple as trading components with a friend when you're in the contested zones. Hello, One Dark Enigma. And when you're trying to give other people the components, you move the freight elevator down when they've loaded it up, and the freight elevator just swallows the components and they vanish into the ether. The terminal just sort of glitches out for a second and resets, and all of those components are gone, and that's it. This has also happened to me with the Wicklow elevators. So handing in all of the ores and parts for all of these pieces of armour, I'll be turning them in, and I'll put everything in the personal terminal, so not the freight elevator, but you put everything in the personal terminal that's nearest Bazaar. You put the elevator down, you move everything across onto the freight elevator, you bring the elevator up with the intent of sending it down to complete the mission, and then when the elevator comes up, the only thing that I saw on there was the can of drink. All of the gems and the horns and the ores were gone. They just vanished into the ether. So that's ruined, I think, 2 trips as well, and it's so disheartening and depressing after you've been and farmed all of those gems and ores in that bloody hole, and then you've been and farmed the Copian horns and the Marok gems, all for it to go to waste. And it's just infuriating little things like that adding up that I think means the game would not be good to stream, because you'd be having such a good time, wanting to expect something, it would go to hell, and then your whole mood and demeanour would change on stream. And I've seen this happen earlier on with Burks when this number 4 card had disappeared. He wasn't angry, but you could see that it had pissed him off and sort of ruined a little bit of the session that they were doing, because now they had to wait essentially another half an hour in that spot, not move and not really do a lot apart from talk to streamers, to get that key because of something that broke that shouldn't have broken. So seeing that on stream, you can totally understand why people like Ollie have just turned around and said, I'm just going to take a step back for a little bit and I'm going to play some other games. Even Salty Mike has been playing Eve rather now than streaming Star Citizen consistently. So that's been a little bit of a ramble on finishing, air quotes, 4.0 and 4.1. And I'm still going to keep playing. I'm still going to have lots of fun without, I'm sure, looking forward to the new content coming forward in the new patch. I'm looking forward to seeing how they implement these tutorials that are coming in. I'm looking forward to seeing how they implement these asteroid bases that are coming to Stanton, because now we're going to have the Stanton equivalent of the Pyro RAB bases in the Stanton system. So I'm going to be interested to see what loot is in those compared to the Pyro ones, because in the Pyro ones it's where you find all of the scorched armor pieces and some scorched weapons. So it'll be interesting to see the comparison with the Stanton ones. And I'm looking forward to see how these whole script things play out, and if they make the content a little bit easier so that low pop people, or rather than having to form a gigantic armada of ships and players to defend a little bottlenecked area, they can use these scripts to get the new shinies instead. I'm also looking forward to some of the new mission types that are coming forward. Some of them are going to be new and some of them are going to be returning, like patrol missions and things. We have Invictus coming up as well, so I think the Invictus event is going to be interesting. There's some new ships that I'm not really that interested about, because military ships aren't my massive thing. I kind of have everything I want, but it's looking forward to seeing what they do and how they compare in game, and if other ships will get hit with the nerf bat because of them. I hope looking forward is going to be a lot more focus on the broken aspects of the game, and hoping they really nail down some of these bugs that have been affecting us for so long. I know we still keep getting hotfixes rolled out, especially server side, especially for the things like mining that's been broken for so long, but I think it's going to be something that has to be fixed in a new build, so it's going to be an interesting time, I think, through the end of April and into May. So yeah, that's my little ramble about finishing, air quotes, the game. I'm kind of interested to hear what your guys' goals are in game. So do you have specific things you want to accomplish with what we've got going on? Is there a personal level where you can draw a line underneath and say, I've now finished this and now I'm going to play something else, or I'm going to go and help someone else do it? So please let me know, and let me know if there's anything else you want to see coming from me. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this, please give it a like and subscribe if you fancy sticking around. If you want to help support me, you can use my subscriber code that's on screen, or that of anyone else, and you'll get yourself some extra in-game credits as well. See you in the next one.